Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and we're going to be doing a Cyber Dragon deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because this deck is an extremely nostalgic deck that can control the board and OTK your opponent, which is absolutely crazy. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like in your name description every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Cyber Dragon. Cyber Dragon is definitely a 3 of the deck because if you don't control a monster but your opponent does, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is an amazing ability to instantly get this card out on your side of the field. You're going to use this card for all your different XZ summons and fusion summons, so it's definitely a 3 of in the build and just an awesome combo piece in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Core. This card is the best normal summon in the entire build because this card has the effect that when it's normal summon, you get to add a Cyber Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand, essentially searching out our combo pieces from the deck, making this card a definite 3 of in the build. We then play 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Hurts. Cyber Dragon Hurts is an amazing 3 of in the build because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to add one other Cyber Dragon from your deck or graveyard to your hand, or if this monster is special summon, you can actually make this card's level become 5 until the end of the turn, which is a really cool ability to make it the exact level that you need to go in for a copy of Nova and then Infinity. We then play 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Nashter. Nashter is definitely a 3 of in the build because this card is just an awesome extender in the deck because it has the ability that you can actually discard one other monster and then special summon this card from your hand. And if it's normal or special summon, you could target a machine monster with 2100 attack or defense in the grave and special summon it, which is an awesome ability to instantly get one of your Cyber Dragons back on your side of the field. Now, all of your cards, like your copy of Core, Hurts, and Nashter, also count as Cyber Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard, which is amazing to work with cards like Machine Duplication because it'll actually let you special summon out 2 of the original Cyber Dragon since all these monsters count as Cyber Dragon while they're on the field, which is such a cool effect. We then play a single copy of Cyber Dark Chimera. Chimera is amazing because this card can actually search Power Bond, which is such a cool ability because you can discard a spell or trap card to add Power Bond from your deck to your hand, which is going to help us make all sorts of awesome fusion monsters to go in for game. It also has the ability that you can only use Dragon or Machine Cyber monsters as fusion material the turn you activate this effect, and once, when you fusion summon this turn, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as material, which is a really cool effect that basically turns Power Bomb not only into a Power Bomb but also into Overload Fusion at the exact same time, which is insane to be able to fusion summon into extremely powerful boss monsters using Power Bond and this card. We then play 2 copies of Galaxy Soldier. Galaxy Soldier is definitely a 2 of in the build because this card is a level 5 light machine monster that can special summon itself to your side of the field by sending one other light monster from your hand to the graveyard. And also when this card is special summoned, you do get to add another copy of Galaxy Soldier from your deck to your hand, essentially getting you another monster to your hand, which is super helpful so you can start making copies of Nova and Infinity. We then play a single copy of Karna, the Eternal Machine. This card is really good as a 1 of in the deck because it's actually searchable in this build because it cannot be normal summoned or set, so you can search this card off your copy of Cyber Emergency, which is amazing, and it must be special summoned from your hand or your graveyard during a duel in which your opponent has activated a monster effect in their hand or graveyard. Essentially, if your opponent hand traps you, you can special summon out this card. This card also has a really cool ability that once per turn, if your opponent activates a monster effect, except during the damage step, you can make this card gain 1000 attack points, and if this card is sent to the graveyard, except from the hand or deck, you shuffle it back in the deck, which is a great ability to be able to basically recycle this card and use it all over again later. You then play a single copy of the Star Destroying Kaiju. This card is really good because it is searchable just to out monsters on your opponent's side of the field and make sure copy of Fortress Dragon live, which is really good to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Terverion King Regulus. It is searchable off of Clockwork Knight, which is why we just play a single copy in the build. This card is a walking negate, which is why we play it in the deck, but it's very easy to summon out to your side of the field by just summoning out to your side of the field and equipping one of your machines from the graveyard to this card. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is just a fantastic hand trap, basically just stopping your opponent from touching the deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Cyber Rev System. This card is basically Monster Reborn for the deck and an absolutely amazing one-of that lets you special summon a Cyber Dragon from your hand or grave, but it cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is a really cool ability. We then play a single copy of Cyber Repair Plant. Repair Plant is amazing just as a one-of in the build, because if a Cyber Dragon is in your graveyard, you can activate one of these effects, and if you have 3 or more Cyber Dragons in the graveyard, you can activate both effects and resolve them in sequence to add a Light Machine monster from your deck to your hand, or target a Light Machine monster in your graveyard and shuffle that target into the deck, which is a really cool ability. We then play a single copy of Power Bond because it's very easy to double the attack of a monster and then just swing in for game. This card is basically a fusion spell that lets us fusion summon into really powerful cards like Cyber and Dragon, Cyber Twin Dragon, and even other boss monsters, which is so cool about this card. It's an amazing card because the monster you summon out with this card actually gets double attack points, and it's a really good OTK piece for the deck. We then play a single copy of Cyberdark Realm. Cyberdark Realm is searchable off your copy of Core, which is why we play this card in the deck, because this card, when it's activated, lets you add a Cyberdark monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really awesome ability. And also during your main phase, immediately that spec resolves, you get to normal summon a Cyberdark monster from your hand, which is a great effect to instantly normal summon out your copy of Chimera, discard a spell or trap to the graveyard, and once you do get to search out your copy of Power Bond so you can go in for fusion plays. Essentially, any spell or trap card plus your copy of Core will get you into a fusion monster, which is absolutely insane. We then play a single copy of Triple Tactics Talents. Triple Tactics Talents is really good in this deck because it either lets you draw 2, take control of an opponent's monster, or look at your opponent's hand and shuffle a card from it back in the deck, dealing with hand traps, which is really nice. I love this card in the deck as a one-of because we're also playing 2 copies of Thrust. Thrust is awesome in the deck because you can search out a bunch of really powerful cards, like your copy of Talents, Power Bond, your copy of Cyber Repair Plant, or even Rev System, Machine Dupe, Emergency. There's just so many cards you can actually search off of Thrust, so it's just a really good powerhouse spell card to be able to play in the deck. We then played 2 copies of Machine Duplication. Machine Dupe is really good in the deck to be able to play because when you summon out one of your copies of Cyber Dragon Core, Hertz, or Nashter, they do count as Cyber Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard. So when you activate this card, you actually get to special summon out 2 of the original Cyber Dragon, not copies of Core, Hertz, or Nashter. You just summon out 2 of the original Cyber Dragons to your side of the field, which is so cool. The only downside of this card is it does go against your copy of Clockwork Knight, because Clockwork Knight will boost your monsters up by 500 attack points, which will make this card basically useless in the deck. So you want to activate this card before you resolve a copy of Clockwork Knight, but if you activate either or, you're probably winning the duel. We then play 3 copies of Cyber Emergency. Cyber Emergency is basically the Rhoda for the deck, which is why we play this card as a 3-of. It lets us add a Light Machine monster that cannot be normal summoned or set, or a Cyber Dragon monster from our deck to our hand, which is an amazing ability to instantly get the exact card that we need. We then play 3 copies of Duality. Duality is amazing in this build as a 3-of, because there's so many lines with this card to help you summon out light and dark monsters. It lets you treat a light or a dark monster to be able to special summon a light or a dark monster from your hand or extract with the same original type and level, but a different original attribute, which is a really cool ability to instantly basically tag out a light monster for a dark monster, or a dark monster for a light monster, which is a really cool ability, and I love this card as a 3-of in the build because there's so many cool lines with this card. We then play 3 copies of Clockwork Knight. Clockwork Knight is an amazing floodgate for the deck that makes all monsters on the field become machine monsters, which makes your copy of Fortress Dragon go insane, because you can basically contact fuse your opponent's monsters to make your copy of Fortress Dragon using this card. Also, machine monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense points, and also machine monsters your opponent control lose 500 attack and defense points, making it easier to OTK your opponent. This card also has a really cool ability. You can banish this card from the graveyard to discard a card to add an Earth Machine monster from your deck to your hand, but you can only use either or of this effects per turn, and you cannot use both in the same turn, which is a pretty cool ability to be able to instantly get a copy of Terverion KingJackGames from your deck to your hand if this card does touch the grave. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, guys, we're going to be playing 3, and that's going to be 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is definitely a 3-of in the build, because this card helps out so much in the deck to stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. Plus, it belongs in the deck because it literally has infinity on the card artwork, so it's a definite 3-of in the build. This card is amazing in the deck and helps out so much in this deck. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Infinity. This card is very easy to make in the deck by just basically overlaying this card on top of a copy of Nova. You can make this card, which is amazing. It can gobble up cards on the field and equip them to this card as material, which is great. It gains 200 attack points for every material on it, and it is a walking negate, which is absolutely insane. We then play 2 copies of Nova. Nova is amazing and a stepping stone to step into your copy of Infinity, and this card can actually get absolutely massive. With a really cool ability, once per turn, you can detach a material from this card, target a Cyber Dragon in your graveyard, and special summon that target back to your side of the field. And also, once per turn, during either player's turn, you can actually banish a Cyber Dragon from your hand or face up from your field to be able to actually increase the attack points of one of your monsters by 2100, which is a really cool ability. I love that about this card, and it just boosts itself up to 42 to help you go in for game. We then play a single copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. It's very easy to make this card, and it's just a good board wipe to be able to make in the deck. We then play a single copy of Cyber in Dragon. This card does piercing damage, and it's absolutely crazy to be able to summon out to your side of the field. It does require 3 Cyber Dragons to make it, but that's very easy to be able to do. We play a single copy of Cyber Twin Dragon. Twin Dragon is awesome because it can attack twice, which is a really cool effect. 1 copy of Rampage. Rampage is really good because it can attack multiple times, and it's also a duality target to be able to basically tag your copy of Cyber Dragon out and this card in with your copy of duality, which is so cool to be able to do. I love this card as a one-of in the build, and helps out a lot in the deck overall. We then play a single copy of Mega Fleet. Mega Fleet deals with monsters in the extra monster zone, so it's a really good option to be able to make in the deck. We then play 2 copies of Fortress Dragon. Clockwork Knight plus this card is GG for the opponent. This card is so cool in the deck, and just a really easy out to basically your opponent's entire board with any Cyber Dragon plus Clockwork Knight. We then play a single copy of Chaos Angel because we can make it really easily. Your copy of Chimera Tech Fortress is a level 8 dark, and your copy of Core is a level 2 light, so you can make it with light and dark in this deck extremely easily, which is amazing. And it does actually banish a card on the field when it's summoned out to your side of the field. If you use light monsters, then sync your monster you control unaffected by your opponent's activated monster effects. If you use dark, monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle, which is a really cool effect to be able to use. But again, it's very easy to make. You can use 2 light level 5s to be able to summon it out. You can use a copy of your Fortress plus a copy of Core to make it. There's a lot of lines you can actually use in the deck. You can even use a Rampage plus a copy of Cyber Dragon or Galaxy Soldier to make it, which is really cool. So this card is just too good not to play. We then play a single copy of Seeger. Seeger is just a really good card that can boost up one of our monsters' attack points, and it's just a really good card overall. Play a single copy of SP Little Knight. If you don't have SP Little Knight, you can change it out for Relinquished Anima, so you can gobble up opponent's monsters, but this card is just really good in the deck overall because it's a double interruption. We then finally play a single copy of Alamirage, so we can link away our copy of Core or a copy of Hertz to be able to get their effects to go off, which is really cool to be able to do, and this card is just a good option to be able to make. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Cyber Dragon before, you should definitely give this deck a try. It's really fun to be able to play. I absolutely love the nostalgia factor of this deck. And it's just absolutely crazy how we just get random machine support, and this deck just gets better. It's super fun to be able to play, and it's a really crazy deck. So, that's going to be this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in your next video. See you later, guys.